We've seen our fair share of challenging Doom games on this channel. Plutonia, TNT is a bit debatable. Anyway, yeah, we've seen our fair share of challenging Doom games on this channel, but you may be wondering if there's another one to add to the list. Well, most of you have probably forgotten this one exists, but it's of course the master levels for Doom 2. But what are the master levels, you may be asking, seeing as everyone forgets this thing even exists. And are they really that challenging? Let's first go over what they actually are, so that we can figure out if they are A, challenging, or B, good. If you're familiar with newer Doom games such as Doom Eternal, then you may have the idea that the master levels are just a harder version of the levels previously seen in Doom 2. And in the case of Doom Eternal, you would be right. But in the case of Doom 2, you are wrong. What Doom 2's master levels actually are is a completely unique set of 21 new levels that were all created by a variety of different modders, who were all contracted to id Software to release it officially. It was released on the 26th of December 1995, late Christmas gift if you will. It has been removed from the Steam store for some reason, however you can play it through the Unity ports of Doom 2 or other methods I'm not going to go into on the channel. But anyway, how do the master levels for Doom 2 really work? So, the master levels pretty much work like every other classic Doom game. All of the weapons and enemies from Doom 2 have returned once again, and there's pretty much nothing new, as it was intended to be really just more levels for more experienced players. However, due to the levels being made by different people, there can be a bit of confusion on how certain things work, especially with doors and switches. Although this is something that we'll go into a bit more detail with later. Other than that, it's pretty simple, and if you know Doom, you already know pretty much everything you need to know about this. From what I understand, those who still remember that this game exists believe that it's rather mediocre. Not necessarily bad, but just fine. I've seen a lot of people saying that there's certain levels that are really good and then certain levels that are really bad. Occasionally people have stated that some of them are really brilliant but others are just boring, confusing and frustrating, which is most likely why a lot of people think it's one of the more forgettable Doom games. Some have said that it's not necessarily a must play when going through all the games, and that they've only played it because it is a actual mainline official game. But is this really true? Because you can't always trust everything that you see on the internet, especially with Doom opinions. Doom 3, got a bit of a cold. So, drum roll please. It's a mixed bag. I agree when a lot of people say that there's certain things that are good and certain things that are really bad. The reasoning for this is most likely because a lot of the levels were made by separate people, and I'm pretty sure this game didn't actually have a full dev team, and instead it had a bunch of different modders working on different parts of the game on their own. I also feel like this kind of led to what I mentioned earlier, with certain switches and doors not really working properly between each levels. What I mean is that in some level this switch can do that thing, but in this other level this switch can do this other thing, or it just isn't a switch, and it can just lead to some massive points of confusion. There's this one level that really has this issue with it, and I don't know the names of the levels because the version of the game I played didn't have the level names. This level is incredibly difficult to navigate. Its doors were oftentimes just walls, and they didn't even have misaligned textures or anything like that to show you that it was a door. Once I cleared out most of the enemies, I had to play the game through the auto map pretty much. But playing devil's advocate, going right to the other end of the spectrum, there's really good levels like this one here. This level is supposed to be in the spot that Dead Simple is in. I can't remember what number that is off the top of my head, he says as he reads from the script he made hours ago. But it was an absolute blast to play through and I had a really good time. In fact, it was probably one of the most fun Doom levels I've played in a really long time. Levels like this make me hesitate to call the master levels bad, because by no means are they bad. But I agree with what a lot of people say on Doom forums, it's just meh. If it wasn't for some of the worst levels in it, I think the master levels would be a really good experience, and it would rival something like Plutonia, and it would definitely top TNT. I put Plutonia at the top, Master Levels here, and TNT here, and then I'd take TNT and the Master Levels and I'd swap them around, because despite how boring TNT is, Master Levels is just not as good as TNT. And that's really saying something. I'm sorry to people who worked on the Master Levels, but still. In terms of difficulty, the Master Levels really depends on which level it is. They are meant to be a harder challenge for experienced Doom players, but some of the levels are just not that difficult, and then others are nearly Plutonia levels. But I feel like I'm starting to tail on a bit, so if you'd like to watch more content of mine that is on Classic Doom, then I highly recommend watching the playlist that is right here.